Hello, welcome to my videos. In this time, I'm going to talk about the Liga MX Week 17, the scores. I'm going to talk about what happened this weekend in the in the last week of the tournament, where they were defined all the 14 that were qualified to the direct to the playoffs. That were Rayados, América, Guadalajara, and Toluca, and the teams that will play the repechaje the round, where Pachuca will face Santos. León will face Atlético San Luis. Tigres will face Puebla, and Cruz will face Atlas. But first, let's talk about the games that were played this weekend. The first game was the last Friday that América defeated as a visit team, as a away team to Juárez 1-0. It was a entertaining game because remember that Juárez was eliminated since the last week, and America needed to win the game to get a direct spot to the to playoffs, and they did it. They scored the only goal in the game in the first half by Richard Sanchez in the minute 36, and America won the game 1-0. And Bravos finished the season in the 16th place, the third world team in the league with 50 points. And America was get the second best. America was the second best team of the tournament with 34 points, and get the lock hit the direct to the playoffs. In the Saturday, the day started with the game Puebla against Tijuana. The Puebla defeated 5-2 Tijuana, and with this score, the Puebla qualified to the repechaje that will face Tigres, and Tijuana was eliminated from the tournament. Remember that this game is supposed that it was changed for date because it's supposed that this game was going to be played the last Friday. But remember that the Popocatépetl mountain had a so happened something about the warning because the Popocatépetl was active, and so for that reason the game was changed to the Saturday. So the game was a very good game because we had a lot of goals. We had 7 goals. The Puebla started winning the game in the minute 13. Federico Mancuyo scored the first goal of the game, and the Puebla. And 12 minutes later, Federico Mancoyo again scored a goal, but an own goal, and Tijuana tied the game. But later, Diego de Buen scored the Puebla second goal, and Puebla was leading the game 2-1 in the halftime. In the second time, we saw 4 goals where Puebla scored the another first goal. Guillermo Martinez Ayala scored another 2 goals for Puebla in minus 55 and 61. Puebla was leading the game that moment. Sorry, 4-1. Later, Tijuana scored the second goal, where Brian Romero scored the Tijuana second goal in the minus 68. And to end the game, Martin Barragan scored the Puebla fifth goal by a penalty in the minus 77. And Puebla won the game 5-2. With this score, who I said before, Puebla qualified to repechaje in the place 10 with 20 points, and Tijuana was eliminated with where Tijuana. Tijuana was in the 15th place with 60 points. And the second game of the day, this was a very bored game where Atlético San Luis and Atlas tied the game 0-0. It was a very good game. Really support people who watched or went to the stadium to watch this game because it was very bored. The only good thing was that the only good thing or the only thing that was important is that Julio Cesar Fuchs was sent off because he received a red card in the minute 38, and for the rest of the game, Atlas played with just 10 men. With this score, both teams qualify to play to repechaje zone, where Atlético San Luis qualify as 11th place with 90 points, and Atlético San Luis will face Tigres in the repechaje zone, and Atlas qualify as 9th place with 21 points, and will face Cruz Azul in the repechaje zone. And the another game of the Saturday, Monterrey defeated 4-1 Pumas, and with this score, Pumas was eliminated from the tournament, and Monterrey didn't have to fight for anything in the last week because they locked in the first place, and they were the best team of the tournament. Monterrey didn't have any problem to win this game because he could see to the difference between these two teams, where Monterrey defined the game in the first half, where Monterrey scored the fourth goal in the first half. First in the first minutes of the game, Arturo Alfonso Gonzalez scored the Monterrey first goal in minus 2. And later, Rogelio Funes Mori scored a hat trick in the first time, where in the first half, where he scored the first one at the minus 17 via penalty. The second goal was in the minus 22, and the third goal was he scored 3 goals in 10 minutes. And Pumas scored his only goal in the minus 40 in the end of the first half, sorry, in the minus 45, where Gustavo Del Petre scored the Pumas only goal, and the game was over, and Monterrey won the game 4-1. And with this score, was here before, Monterrey locked in the first place with 40 points, and will raise the repechaje zone. And Pumas was eliminated because Pumas needed to win to qualify to the repechaje zone, and Pumas stayed in the 14th place with 80 points. Another game that didn't have anything to fight was Guadalajara won 4-1 against Mazatlán, and Mazatlán was the worst team in the league, and Guadalajara qualified as a third best team of the tournament, and we qualify direct to the playoffs, and we'll buy in the repechaje zone. Guadalajara played a very good game, where Guadalajara started to winning the game, where Victor Guzman scored the Guadalajara first goal in the minus 12. Later, Guadalajara put 2-0 the game when Alexis Vega scored the Guadalajara second goal and in the minus 21. But 2 minutes later, Mazatlán scored the only goal of the game when Andres Montañón in the minute 23 scored Mazatlán goal, and in the halftime Guadalajara was leading 2-1. And in the second half, Guadalajara still dominate the game and scored the other 2 goals, where Fernando Beltrán Cruz scored the Guadalajara third goal in the minute 56, and the last goal of the Guadalajara was Isaac Brizuela in the minute 75. And Guadalajara won the game 4-1, and with this score, Guadalajara qualified direct to the playoffs because Guadalajara was the third best team of the tournament with 34 points, the same point of América, and Guadalajara will buy the repechaje zone. And Mazatlán was the worst team of the league. They were in the last place of the league with 70 points, with 7 points. And in the last game of the Saturday, Cruz Azul defeated 3-2 Santos, and Cruz Azul qualified to repechaje zone, and so did Santos. Cruz Azul didn't have any problem to defeat Santos, but because Cruz Azul started to win 3-0 the game, but after the Cruz Azul third goal, Cruz Azul relaxed his game and let Santos play better and scored another 2 goals. Cruz Azul started to winning in the first half, where Cruz Azul scored the 2 goals, the 2 first goals in the first half, where Augusto Lotti scored the Cruz Azul first goal when he shot outside the area, and Santos goalkeeper couldn't stop the goal in the minute 31. And 10 minutes later, Rodrigo Huescas scored Cruz Azul's second goal in the minute 41, and Cruz Azul was leading the game 2-0 in the halftime. Later, Cruz Azul was again dominated the game in the second half, and the minute 64, Uriel Antuna scored the Cruz Azul third goal, and Cruz Azul in the game was over. And after that goal, Cruz Azul relaxed its game, and Santos played better, where Santos scored his 2 goals in the end of the game. In the minute 87, Diego Javier Medina Vázquez scored Santos' first goal in the minute 87, and Santos' second goal was scored by Javier Cortés in minute 93 by a penalty. With this score, Cruz Azul qualified to the repechaje zone in the 8th place with 24 points, and here Cruz Azul will face Atlas. And Santos, with this score, was eliminated because Santos in that moment finished in the 13th place with 19 points. But remember that Querétaro qualified as a 10 team, but Querétaro relegated from the Liga MX, is not relegated, so Querétaro could qualify to the playoffs, and for that reason Santos qualify as a 12 team, and Santos will face the Pachuca in the repechaje zone. And the first game of the day today, so Toluca didn't have any problem to defeat 3-0 Necaxa, and Toluca with this score qualified direct to the playoffs. Playoffs. Toluca didn't have any problem to defeat Necaxa, was the best team, when Toluca was leading 1-0 in the halftime, where Leonardo Fernandez Lopez scored the Toluca first goal in the minute 31 via penalty. In the second half, again, Toluca played better than Necaxa, where in the beginning of the second half, Carlos González Espinola scored the Toluca second goal in the minute 52, and almost 20 minutes later, Thiago Golpi, the Toluca goalkeeper, scored the Toluca third goal by a penalty in the minute 71, and Toluca won the game 3-0. With this score, who I said before, Toluca qualified direct to playoffs in the fourth place with 31 points, and Necaxa was the second worst team in the league with 40 points. And the second game of the day, Pachuca defeated 1-0 Querétaro as a away team, and Pachuca finished in the fifth place, and Querétaro did a very good tournament because they end in the 10th place, but they relegate because they got the less point in a period of 3 years. It's complicated to explain that in Mexico because there is a different table, different metrics that later I can explain you. The game was boring sometimes and was intense in some parts, where Pachuca scored the only goal of the game in the minute 26, when Christian Arango scored the Pachuca first goal by a penalty, and that was enough to win the game. With that score, as I said before, Pachuca qualified as fifth place with 31 points, and we play the repechaje repechaje round against Santos. And Querétaro finished in the 10th place, as I said before, with 20 points. Querétaro did an amazing season, but they relegate because there is a complicated metric here in Liga MX that later I'm going to explain you. And the last game of the day was finished 1 hour ago. León didn't have any problem to defeat 3-0 Tigres, and both teams qualified to the repechaje zone. Tigres played with an alternative team because they couldn't move for the 7th place. And remember that both teams will play the next Wednesday in the Conca Champions semifinals, second leg, where Tigres was leading the game 2-1. So León didn't have any problem, where in the first half, Jose Alfonso Alvarado Perez scored the León first goal in the minute 17, and almost in the end of the first half, Brian Rubio scored the León second goal in the minute 45, and León was leading in the halftime 2-0. And in the second half, again, León dominated the game, where in the minus 67, Hector Yael Uribe Guevara scored the León third goal, and León won 3-0 the game, and qualified. León won the game 3-0, and León qualified as a sixth team, and with the sixth best play in the tournament with 30 points, and Tigres qualified as seven place with 25 points. And León will face Atlético San Luis in repechaje, and Tigres will face Puebla in the repechaje. So today finish the regular season, Liga MX regular season, and the next week we'll start the repechaje zone. So tomorrow I'm going to upload a video that I'm going to talk about the repechaje run, where I'm going to give my prediction, and 1 week later also I'm going to give my prediction about the Liga MX playoffs. So see you next video, Gibran.